might be that you think that you're going for sales, but it might be, if you think about it in the big picture, you can come away with more than that. Even if you don't make a single sale, you will have come away with something useful for your business. So the purpose could be around a growth strategy. You can, I've got ticks on these boxes. You can actually tick a lot of these boxes. So think about, growth of the business, generating sales, although we can put you in the best light to do that. There's no guarantees, obviously, that that's what you're going to get. But you could be looking to develop new markets, launch new products or services. What's the purpose behind you being there? Is it also about brand awareness, so that people that didn't know who you are? I mean, I've met a few of you today. I didn't know who you were. So, that be seen, attract the attention of your target audience, new existing customers. You might want to build relationships. So it might be that you want to meet, interact and reward customers. Now, this won't happen magically. This involves interaction. We'll be talking about this soon. To let people know that you're there. But you might think about, well, actually, I've got some customers that I've dealt with online. I'm going to let them know that I've got this pop-up, because it would be lovely to meet them in person. So you can invite them along to the, the pop-up primer party, and invite them along so that you can meet up with them. Customer insights, you might want to use it for market research, whether that's official market research or just observation. So yeah, you might have a quiz or something that you want them to fill in so that you can get some feedback from them. However, just watching what they do. So I've got a client that I went to see his stand, and he's got lots of what they're called, coasters with photographs on them. And he had them at the front, and he had a sign beside them with the price on. And I was saying to him, I picked up the coaster and I had a look at the back, and I said, do a lot of people do this, pick them up and look at the back? And he went, yeah, loads of people come along and they pick them up and look at the back. It's like, okay, why do you think they're doing that? And he said, well, they want to see the quality of them. They want to see where they were made. They want to see, whether they're original, that kind of thing. And I went, I think they're looking for more than that. They're looking for the price. He said, but I've got the price here. I've got a frame with the price on. Yeah, I know you've got a frame with the price on, but that's not what they're seeing. They're looking for the price. I was like, really? So I recommended that you put a little sticker on the back of each one. You can buy those pricing guns. It doesn't look particularly pretty, but you've got to think about how your customers shop. Next time I saw him, he was like, you're right. They were looking for the price, so the clues were there. So it's some of that market research as well. It's like, what are your customers doing? And sometimes that things that make you go, you see them doing something, you say, that's strange. Then you kind of start thinking through their eyes. What are they looking for? What is it that you don't see that they're doing? Often it's to do with price. And people will not ask. Often, that thing about, if you've got to ask, my mum used to say, if you've got to ask, you can't afford it. People won't ask, because it could be that you then put them in a place where they could feel embarrassed. People will make up their minds up about how much they think something's worth and how much they're going to pay for it. Doesn't necessarily mean how much it is worth. It's just how much it's worth to them. Yeah. Again, going back to Canada, I went into a marketplace that was just this fab market, had all sorts of things in. And on the lower ground floor, there was a jewelry store, and it was absolutely full of jewelry. Well, I've got my scarf on today, but I do like big chunky necklaces. Oh, she had the most amazing necklaces. So I started looking at them. And she did her stuff right, actually, because she was like, oh, would you like to try this on? Here's a mirror, blah, blah, blah. And there was a couple that I liked. And then I thought, do I get this or do I get that? And I said, oh, I quite like that one. I said, oh, by the way, how much is it? How much is it? And she said, well, I think she'd already told me that, she handmade them and stuff. She said £75. And I was like, oh, gosh. you know, I was literally at that point, I had the last Canadian dollars in my purse, you know, I was just looking for kind of like gifts I could bring home, and I didn't have 75. And I said, I'm really sorry, I don't have 75 pounds. I'm not saying that your stuff's not worth 75 pounds, it's just I don't have that kind of money to spend. And then she was like, oh, okay, well, how about 50 pound then, you know, 50. And I was like, well, dollars, you know. And I was like, I'm really sorry, I don't even have that. And then I felt like I had to say to her, honestly, what you do, I'm not undervaluing the skill that you, because she was saying, look, they're all handmade, blah blah blah, this is the process I do. And I was like, what you do is brilliant, I just don't have, I'm not your right customer for this. The problem was, it was that disconnection. She was in a market, she was in the underground section, she was there where other people were selling, you know, gifts that were just much cheaper than that. She'd piled them high, you know. I don't know how long it'd taken her to make all of these things. I didn't realize at first that they were all handmade because of the way she displayed them. And it was really embarrassing for kind of me and for her, because I didn't want her to feel like, oh God, there's another sale I've lost today, you know. And that's the thing, that market research and testing your products. But if she displayed it differently, I would have gone in with a different mindset. And there might have been other stuff on there that was cheaper, that might have been in my budget. But when she just piled everything high with no prices on, I just couldn't see it. And at that point, I was embarrassed. I didn't then say, actually, I've got £20 to spend. What do you have for £20? I just felt like I needed to walk away. It was just really uncomfortable. So market research, think about prices, please put prices on things. Ideally, people probably want to see it on the product, but if you have to put it beside the product, make sure that it's somewhere where they can see it. And then it could be about raising your profile. So it's a launch event for a new product, or, you know, for this one, you're appearing in the Metrocentre in Sook space. Could be a campaign around it, social media activity, PR, media interest. You know, it won't happen. People will not just pop up at your pop-up like that Mr. Ben when the shopkeeper appeared. We do have to drive traffic as well, you know, and that's part of our responsibility being at the pop-up, is to get people to come along. Other things you can do, seasonal promotions, limited editions. So because it's a pop-up, it might be for one day only, you know, and this item is only, that's the only one. It might be the hero product. It might be that it's limited edition. It's that kind of fear of missing out. If people know that, you know, here today, gone tomorrow, that might spur them into buying. Location, the visibility, the footfall, the dwell time. You're being part of a community. So if you're in the Metrocentre, you're part of the retail community in the Metrocentre for that day. It's about building up connections. So new customers. It might not just be customers though. You might make new contacts. You've already, within this group, you've started to build connections. Might be for suppliers or stockists or network and that kind of thing. Business development, so you might be learning new skills. When you do that pop-up, we've been enabling you with new skills, but you're going to put those skills into practice as well. Expanding your comfort zone. So not saying that it's going to be comfortable to be there or interacting with customers, but the more that you expand that, like the first time that I did a talk, Corinne asked me to come along and do a talk, and I was like, I don't do talks. For 25 years, I did presentations. I always give it to the salesperson to present. I would not have done this. I would not be here today if Corinne hadn't pushed me out of my comfort zone to do this. So yeah, we need to expand that stuff if we're going to grow our businesses. And it's about new ideas and opportunities as well. So looking at this one, so this is part of the process that I can take people through, but this lady came to me because I do vision mapping. So it's about getting your ideas out of your head and onto paper. The first thing that she said to us was, can you design me a stand to sell my book? It's like, yeah, what's the purpose? So we started to map out our ideas, because it wasn't just to sell the book. In fact, she then said, I'm not even sure whether I've booked my place. I'm going to the snowboarding show in London, but I'm not sure whether my book's going to be printed by then. So could it just been a book signing? But it was like, you've got so much more that you can do. The other thing is people didn't necessarily know who she was. So with it being the snowboarding show, if you saw the book, you might think it was about teaching you to snowboard, but actually she's a coach. So it was taking the lessons that she learned through snowboarding to help you through your life. So what we did with the stand was we started to look at the purpose. So yes, it was to launch the book, but how was she going to collect data? You know, so could she have a competition? How could she raise brand awareness? Now, as well as a coaching business, she also was known as Mummy Snowboarder. So she already had another brand. And she was like, oh, yeah, the big idea with Mummy Snowboarder is I would love to be invited to blog and to go to hotels and stuff. So it's like, right, we're going to raise awareness of that brand as well. Looked at social media interactivity, raising the profile for her to be seen as an expert and authority. So we ended up doing this selfie seat and having a big snowboard made with the take it all on board. And then there was things like QR codes and competitions and stuff. So can you see how that could have just been her sat behind a table signing books? I don't know how many books she would have sold. And if she'd then tried to balance off the price to do with the being there and also to do with the, you know, the time out of our business and the stand and everything, you know, would that have added up? But if you then start taking into account data collection and all that kind of thing, you can start maybe balancing those books, if not on paper. The other thing is she said to us that she was just going to go along. And I was like, whoa, 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 it can't just be you. You're there over the weekend at this massive show. Who else can go with you? And she said, but that's just me. And we all think that that's just us if we run our own business. But it was like, well, who else is there on your team? And she said, oh, well, the lady that did the book cover, she's into snowboard, my artist. Well, do you think she would like to go down? She was like, well, yeah, you know, I'm sure she would love to, you know, come on the stand and go and see the show. Another person that she knew was she'd had an expertise in doing exhibition stands. So what she did, but then she was like, yeah, but, you know, I would have to pay for a hotel, train fares. It ended up that she took a car and she booked an Airbnb where they could all stay together. So you can see how thinking about these things differently to get as many opportunities, but for it not to cost you, you know, a huge amount of money. So that was her. That was the stand. That was what it looked like. There's a picture there with the Hoff. There's a picture there with Eddie the Eagle, you know, so looking at it from a different perspective means that you're going in and getting the most out of the opportunities. So thinking about when you go there, what's the purpose of having your pop-up shop? Now, I'm aware that we're getting a bit close to time. I would like to finish on time because, you know, you'll all have other things to do, I'm sure. I can hang around for any questions later, but what I'm going to do is, rather than stop and get you to do this, which is on page 13, your strategy, is go in, think about this, but do please spend some time thinking about why you're there so you can get the most out of the opportunity. There's two perspectives as well to this. So there's the retailer journey and the customer journey. So you're the retailer. So thinking about it before, during and after. So the pre-pop-up, which is where we're at now, the pop-up experience when you're actually there, and then afterwards. So before, it's about the strategy, doing some research about the promotions, the installation, you know, on the day before it actually opens. And then when it does, when you've got your pop-up shop, it's about the interaction, the activities that you're going to have, the way you're going to communicate with people. Afterwards, you've got to dismantle, but then it's about, you know, evaluating. Did you end up with, you know, meeting new people? Did you sell any products? All that kind of thing. And then following up. I've been to exhibitions before where they've taken your business card, but then I've never heard from that business again. I've handed over to them, but, you know, I've never heard. So that it's also allowing time afterwards for the follow-up. So this is Corin's journey. This was before living north. So she actually put that out on social media, you know, just getting people excited about the fact that she was going to be at living north, that she was setting up her stand. When she was there, she then put some stuff on about that, and at the end of it, that it was successful. And then, here comes Dawn. I've just let Dawn in. Yeah, and then afterwards, you know, about summing it up. But you can see she's put this on social media, the before, during, after, power of 3. But also, this is what you've got to think about. You know, you're going to go through this process of the retailer's journey. And then there's a customer's journey. Thinking about that bin, you know, there's 2 sides to it. So the pre-experience activity. If I'm going to go to living north, I'm thinking, ooh, I'm anticipating going there. I'm preparing for it. I'm imagining it. I'm planning. I'm budgeting. So I might think, ooh, living north, I'm going to go there. Who am I going to go with? You know, what do I need to get out of it? Am I looking for Christmas presents for these? How much money have I got to spend there? Or am I just having a nice day out? You know, I'm planning around that activity. And then when I'm there, it's about the value sources. These have been identified. It's about the experience. So it's sensory, emotional, economic, functional, relational, and social. So that's about, you know, that thing about, you know, how did it make you feel? You know, did I have enough money? Did I buy stuff? You know, who did I interact with? Because afterwards, that's the post outcomes. People are going to reflect on that. You know, who did they connect with? Did they enjoy it? Where were they entertained? Did they learn something new? All of that kind of thing. So what a customer gets out of the pop-up is different to what you put into the pop-up. So this is the customer journey. So with the last pop-up that we did, there was, before it, you need to raise awareness, you know, have some marketing campaigns in place, let people know about it, but also let people know where it is. It's all very well, sometimes you see things and people tell you that this thing's happening, but you've got no idea if it's local to you, whereabouts it is. And just because people know the Metrocentre, don't necessarily know where Sook space is. So having a map. Corin also did a video about going into the Metrocentre, showing people where she was. She did a countdown timer as well in anticipation. During it, taking photographs, you might do a live stream, all of that kind of thing. Now, there's no after at this point. So it's like, how do you follow up afterwards? So how did you follow up with the customers, the information that you got? So looking at that, you can talk to Corin about that experience, but it's looking at it from your perspectives and from your customer's perspective. So again, taking time before you get to the pop-up to think about what it is that you're going to do, how you're going to record that, how you're going to invite people along, who in fact you want to invite people along to it, to make sure that you're ticking as many of those boxes as possible to get as much out of the experience. So finally, it's about the stands. So talking about the things that's going to be on the stand, it might not necessarily be your products, so that it might be what's your unique standout products and props, digital printed material, images, videos, data collection, need to think about how you're going to connect, you know. So if, again, you're going to manage sales transactions when you go to events, have you got some way of taking money from customers? Might be that you want to use QR codes as well. So, for example, for me, my USP, because I capture ideas, how do I represent that? Well, I've got this ideas hat, this crazy ideas hat, but I can use that for promotion. I've got my storytelling suitcase I take along, my metronomes, that kind of thing. So there's Phil there, the photographer. He tells me that his hero product is that photograph. Now, I think it's changed over the years. Now he's got a new hero product. But if he knows that that's the one that most customers, whether they buy it or not, but that's the one that draws people in, where they go, oh, wow, look at that. That's so cute. That becomes his hero product. So he's going to make sure that that's big and on display so everyone can see that. And then there's the example here of Polly, where she does mental fitness stuff. So that she's a coach, but she's got a mental fitness kit bag. So she's made props to explain what it is that she does. This was the stand that I did with the hand-dyed shoe company. So Simon actually had a big banner, a pop-up banner at the back. It was this huge banner. And when he got there, it was too small. The space was too small. So I rushed off to the local B&Q and I bought wallpaper to put it in there. Now, he didn't sell products at the show. He sold gift vouchers, but because his is more an experience, hand-dyed shoes, personal stuff, what he was doing was showing people what he does. He was actually hand-dyeing shoes. And he actually won the best stand, but he didn't actually sell the products there. He sold the experience, so people could buy a gift. Instead of a gift voucher, it was a gift box towards getting a pair of hand-dyed shoes. So people had something to open on Christmas Day. Missed menopause, if you're thinking about leaflets, most leaflets end up in the bin. Can you do something different with your leaflets? So for missed menopause, they were folded up as fans, you know, so that was just a bit of a fun thing. I've seen them for travel companies where we've made paper aeroplanes out of them. So your leaflets don't always have to end up in the bin. In fact, I did see a guy at one exhibition, he was walking around with the bin full of crumpled up bits of paper. And he said, would you like to pick one? I was like, intrigued by why this paper was crumpled in the bin. And I opened it up and this piece of paper said, I know my place. I know I'm going to end up in the bin. But before you put me in the bin, you know, so it was part of his marketing campaign. So he kind of reverse engineered that. That was a bit kind of pattern disruptor. Claire Talbot-Jones. So Claire said to us, I mean, it was brilliant, you know, that this was her first stand. She got her banner done, she got her leaflets done. So, you know, that was pushing her out of her comfort zone. And she did say to us, though, well, what am I supposed to do? You know, I've just got a banner and leaflets. There's nothing more I can do. And I was like, actually, there is, Claire. I've got an idea. And Claire does I do actually use Talbot-Jones insurance for my insurance. So I did know a little bit about the business. So I wrote that word with our leaflet, risk. So it changed from an empty table to the words risk. And there is something also to be said that sometimes if your leaflets or your business cards are stacked up perfectly, people don't take them because they don't want to spoil your display. But yeah, she was then able to give out leaflets, and that looks a bit more interactive, doesn't it, than the first stand. So you can do, these are all just ideas. You can do so much with ideas without it costing you. That was Simon when he was in the Metrocentre. So there he was offering polishing your shoes, and he had a video playing in the background as well. So this is him expanding his pop-up to fit the spaces. And because he's got those boxes, he could also use those to transport the products in. And he's actually put lights in those boxes as well. The other stand is made out of pallets, so you can see, you know, the bit of creativity, how you can come up with all these different ideas. For me, I've got this box. There was an exhibition where it was literally your business in a box. So I took along this shoe box, and it was to capture people's business cards, and it was like, are you more logical or are you more creative? So that was a conversation starter. Because often you go along and the exhibition stands, especially, they'll have a bowl for you to put your business card in, some sweeties and some giveaways. But that really, it doesn't say anything about your business and who you are and why it is that you do what you do. QR codes, if you're on LinkedIn, you will have a QR code on LinkedIn, so you can connect with people through QR codes. Through lockdown, people used to say, oh, QR codes, they're like the dead, people don't use them. And I know that in Japan, they use them a lot. And I used to use them in exhibitions stands. So I was always a fan of QR codes. People now know more how to use QR codes, because when we used to have to check in with COVID. So actually using that now in your business, and the iPhones, I know iPhones do especially, but other phones probably do this as well. You don't even have to have a QR code reader now. You just have to open up the camera and it'll go kind of almost like bloop, and it'll show a box And if you tap on that, it'll take you to a website. So if you don't know what QR codes are, you scan them. All you need is a URL, and your QR code will take you to that. So for this example, during lockdown, if each of those products, I've talked to Sarah because I've worked with her before, during lockdown, if she'd actually put a QR code on each of those products, anybody that was looking at the window when the shop was closed could scan it with their phone and it would take them to the website. So there's free QR code readers. I know I'm kind of throwing this at you. So if you want to know about QR codes, reach out to us and I can help you with that one. Again, what do you need? What you're going to bring along? What you're going to bring along in terms of, you know, signs, if there's any leaflets that you've done, all that kind of thing. Have a think about that for your pop-up. Again, you've got another checklist. So you can tick those boxes and bring what it is that you need. You'll all be different. And that's absolutely fine. Just it's putting this in front of you so you can consider what it is that you want to do, and take photographs of every display that you do. And actually in customer interactions, take pictures, get other people to take pictures of each other as well, so that you've got, if nothing else, if you don't sell anything else, you've got examples of you working there, being on the stand, interacting with customers, so you can get a lot out of this experience. So that's it. That's me, visual communications. I'm on a lot of sites as Create Intrigue. That's my business name. Connect with me. There's my QR codes as well. So if you want to get your phone, you can scan them. But yeah, connect with us. I'm going to be there on the day of the pop-up as well to help you on this journey. So, but if there's anything between now and then, reach out, because yeah, there's plenty of us in this group that can help you in different ways.